You may begin your meeting, Alderman Boyd.
Okay, thank you. The Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin,
Present.
Alderman Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Evans,
Present.
Chairman Boyd,
Present.
President Reed, Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderman Muhammad, President Reed. 5 present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the minutes dated June 24th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
President Reed. 5 aye votes.
Okay, you approved the minutes. Next, we're gonna have a special presentation. I can't, is Noah Pfeffer on? I don't see him. Noah Pfeffer, are you there? Okay, I don't see him, but I do see someone I wanted to have presented to the committee and to the public. A young man who has taken on the reins of St. Louis Development Corporation as the executive director. And so I would introduce to everybody right now, Mr. Neil Richardson, the new executive director of St. Louis Development Corporation. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Alderman Boyd, for the opportunity to speak with this group today. I'm very excited for the opportunity to be the new executive director of St. Louis Development Corporation. As a lifelong resident of the city of St. Louis, I truly believe housing and urban development is a key component to really helping advance economic opportunity for all of our residents and moving our city forward. So again, I look forward to partnering and working with each of you as we continue to create greater opportunities for our region to thrive.
Okay, well, certainly welcome. We're looking for exciting things to start happening in the city of St. Louis, especially around the more distressed neighborhoods throughout the city. There's a great opportunity we have right now with Board Bill number 2 to kind of set some funding streams in place. And I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with you and the SLDC staff and planning to make some good stuff happen. So again, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation.
All righty. So next, we will do board bills and resolutions for review. I'm going to take resolution number 39. Alderman Dan Gunther is not on the committee. And so we'll go in that order. Alderman, I think I saw Alderman Gunther. Alderman Gunther, are you present?
I am. Thank you, Chairman Boyd.
Okay, you're up for discussion on resolution number 39.
All right. Thank you, Chairman and members of the HUD's committee. Resolution 39 is a resolution that is asking for just simply a tax assurance. We have a business called STC Warehousing at Sydney Street and 2nd. They're looking to expand, putting about a little over $2 million addition onto their warehouses. which will be bringing about 35 new jobs to the SDC warehousing. So I worked with SDC, SLDC, and then also with the mayor's office to come up with something that would work for everyone. The mayor's office suggested that we just do a assurance program. So basically the entire improvements to this property will be assessed at full value, and then they will just be giving a assurance over the next 10 years of what their taxes will be. So no abatement here, no sort of incentive, just a assurance. So I guess I would welcome Zach or SLDC to go over some of the numbers if you would like. I guess is Zach there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, Zach, you're up.
John ran it through the model also, just to be on the safe side, and scored 3 out of 5. And the present value of the incentive is about $44,000. So we're about to freeze the tax, not freeze the taxes, assure the taxes at about a little over $52,000 a year. So we did a square foot average of the other 2 properties that are paying full taxes and propose that for the new addition. That's how we came up with that value.
Okay, does Jonathan want to make a presentation to show us his scorecard?
John should be on the call. John, are you there?
Okay, well, while he's tearing that up, Zach, no, I'll wait. Is he here? And if I look kind of crazy because I'm doing wild studies, I'm using my iPad, so it's a little different than the computer. So I have to do all this swiping to see if I can find people. Don't see Zach. Well, let's go ahead and take some questions from the committee. Let's see here. Alderwoman Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, but I would like for Zach or Jonathan to give a little bit more explanation of what an assurance is for the public. So that they know that it's not a lot of difference between that and certain tax abatement situations where the taxes are frozen and you still get the same amount that was there before. So they just need to explain it, that's all.
Tax abatement is usually frozen near the pre-development rate. So it's usually, if it's a vacant lot, it would be extremely low for over a period of 5 to 10 years. Tax insurance, we come up with a dollar figure, usually it's an average dollar figure for the neighborhood or what's nearby, and propose that for what the developer proposed owner would pay for the next 5 to 10 years. That way they can budget in with their bank or mortgage lender how to finance the deal. It's a safe, it's a sorry, John just walked in, apologize. That's the best way to create a savings for, or at least propose a budget for the bank. So for a 10-year tax insurance.
Okay, Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jonathan, what would be the difference between, or Zach, what would be the difference between this tax assurance and the value of a tax abatement at 10 years at 75%?
10 years at 75%, you'd be paying less for taxes. Usually, I would say probably instead of paying like $52,000, you'd probably be paying maybe anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000. So.
And so let's say, like, what is the? And I apologize, I was a little late to the conversation here, but like, what's the address? What's the project size?
It's a little over $2 million. It's the third phase of a warehouse. they built 2 previous phases. They're contracted with the AB to store kegs and other types of things in these warehouses. It's about 35 jobs are proposed.
Okay. So I mean, I think it's worth just mentioning. I mean, and I texted my colleague from the 9th Ward this, but I mean, it's kind of like tomato, tax abatement versus tax assurance. They have different methodologies behind them, but it essentially gets to the same end goal. I mean, we could tax assure something at $35,000, or we could tax assure something at $50,000, or we could tax abatement, something for 5, 10, 15, 20 years at any rate, really, 20%, 30%, 50%, 75%, 95%. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a tax incentive that is being offered. And, I think we just need to be transparent about that as well. So, I know tax assurance sounds much better than tax abatement. And if that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do, and that's fine. But let's just be honest about it.
Alderman Cohn, this is John Ferry. Can I jump in on that for a moment?
Sure.
So yeah, you are correct that so the original concept of tax assurance was that we would be essentially freezing the tax value at the full value of the taxes, so that
I'm aware. of how
so
tax abatement works.
Well, I'm saying the tax assurance concept was that it would be the full value of the taxes, and then we would freeze it. And then what ended up happening was we ended up getting a couple of projects where we sort of merged or blended tax abatement with tax assurance. So like I think the project on Laclede was like that, where we ended up giving them, it was like 75% tax abatement, and then added on tax assurance to it, so that it would sort of ensure that basically they would know exactly what their estimated bill was. And so the way we try to provide transparency in that regard is we, first of all, if there was abatement on there with assurance, it would show an abatement percentage on the right column there under incentive summary. And second of all, when we show the value, estimated value of the abatement, that sort of gives an indicator of how much, based on market values, we're sort of lowering their tax bill by over 10 years. And as you can see there, in this project, it's only $44,000. So in this case, we are bringing up the taxes to the estimated full value. And the way that we came up with that value is we looked at the properties right next door and actually talked to the assessor about this, and came up with a value that was equivalent on a per square foot basis as other buildings that were built in the immediate vicinity within about the last 3 to 5 years. So in this case, we do believe that this is a true tax assurance and not a blend of tax abatement and tax assurance.
Let me ask you this, Jonathan. So in the situation with the tax abatement, if the property were to devalue and go below the abatement value, essentially they don't have any incentive being provided at that point in time, correct?
That would be correct. At that point
So
in
with
time,
the tax assurance, are they still paying those taxes if the value goes down?
Yes, so they would. They would have the option at that point to basically come to the city and say, we want to cancel or rescind our tax abatement and tax assurance. And so at that point in time, it would just go to the regular tax rolls. But they would have to make that option. They would have to do that.
Every alderman, every project over $1 million goes into a redevelopment agreement, and that redevelopment agreement tells them they have to pay this amount for the next 10 years. They would have to come back to us to rescind that agreement.
But I just want to be clear that that's in both cases of tax abatement and tax assurance.
Correct. To be honest, anytime you see me or John's face, there's incentive involved. So.
Right.
To that point, I'm sorry, John, to that point, we want to see your face. And my colleagues, if you guys would speak and turn your video on, that would be helpful so people will know who's speaking, for the people that may just tune in for the first time.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm at my office computer and I don't have a camera on this computer.
Yeah, and
That
I'm
works.
in a basement with very poor reception, and turning the camera on makes everything go wonky.
Okay, so
My
in the
apologies.
future, it will be helpful if we know these logistics that we can continue to provide full transparency on what we're doing. I think having a face when people are speaking is really important. So we'll deal with it today. But in the future, if you guys would help me by adhering to that, I'd appreciate it. And Jonathan, we needed to see a presentation from you. So I guess we can't see the presentation.
I can share my screen, so I'm not just on the phone. I can see you guys. I just don't have a camera.
I'm sorry. And while he's doing that, we'll come right back to you, Alderman Cone.
Does that mean that you're coming back to me now, or?
Yeah, I mean,
waiting?
you still have the floor. It's still on
Okay.
you. Yes. I just wanted him to bring up his presentation so that maybe it'll make, it'd be a little more clear.
Yeah. So, and Chairman Boyd, I used to have my photo up when I wasn't on camera. So I'm not sure what changed with my Zoom settings that's no longer present. So I apologize, but it was there at one point in time and I haven't changed my settings. So I'm not sure what made that drop, but I'll figure it out and try and get it back.
You might have gremlins in your computer or something on your phone.
I was a big fan of that film, and now as I'm older, it makes so much more sense. I don't want to belabor the subject anymore. I believe my colleague from the 9th Ward said that this isn't an incentive, and it very clearly is. So I want to make sure that we're being open and transparent about that. Thanks.
Okay. And while we try to get his screen loaded, let me go to Alderman Kotar.
Thank you, Chairman. Can you see and hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. We're a year into Zoom. It's pretty baffling to me that city employees still don't have cameras on their computers. Maybe that's something we can spend some of this rescue plan money on. I guess this question is either for SLDC or for Alderman Gunther. Is this expansion currently under construction? Have they broken ground?
No.
Okay. I've heard quite a few times now on recent projects from the new administration about their vaulted but-for test. Do we have any indication that these guys, that it sounds like the brewery is their customer, are they going to go elsewhere if they don't get this incentive? Which is very clearly is an incentive. I'd like to echo my colleague from the 25th Ward. This is definitely an incentive. Whether you call it an assurance or an abatement, it's still an incentive, contrary to what the Alderman from the 9th said.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm not sure. I absolutely said it was an incentive. I think that I meant to clarify that it was not an abatement. But yes, it is an incentive. So just to clarify that. But so after meeting with the developer, or after meeting with the team from STC, they have 2 other locations, one in Nashville, Illinois, and one in Columbus, Ohio. They were looking at the 3 locations, and St. Louis is the 3rd as to where to build this. They want to build it in St. Louis because they have their 2 largest warehouses right here on Sydney Street. So this is looking at 3 locations. This is how we determined that it would be feasible for them. I also, obviously everyone has all the developers in the entire, U.S. right now are having issues with materials. But one of the things that the owners of STC were very clear about is that the type of warehouse, the metal structure that they're building, they said that there's only 5 companies that make these sort of metal structures. 4 of them have taken on nothing but warehousing for Amazon, and so there's only 1 company that they were able to actually even have erect this sort of structure. So they said that the price has significantly gone up, in which case that's why they were looking for some sort of assistance from the city to be able to build this. I will also add that through talking with SLDC and the mayor's office, because this is the was it Enhanced Enterprise Zone, an EEZ zone. And I think just last week or the week before, Alderman Coder, you had an EEZ project that deferred some sales taxes and personal property taxes, some of those incentives. So we had kind of a whole lot of incentives on the board, and the only thing that SLDC and the mayor's office and I agreed to was just a straight assurance. So full development cost, full assessed value of property, and then assurance for 10 years of what their rate will be, so that they can come up with a better financing plan for it. So, but yes, we are competing with 2 other locations.
So let me ask this: if we don't grant this this tax assurance, do you believe this business would build this facility elsewhere?
I do.
Okay. Is anyone here from STC or any representatives of STC today?
I did not see any. Yeah, looking through the participants, I don't see anyone from STC, but I do see Noel Pfeffer from the mayor's office on here, and he might be able to say a few words also, since he was the one that was kind of reigning.
Did we advise them of this hearing date or invite them to attend?
I personally did not invite them. I don't know if SLDC did, but I felt pretty comfortable representing, because I had an hour and a half, 2-hour conversation with the owners. I guess when we proposed this assurance. So.
Okay. Well, I guess Alderman from the 9th and Chairman, I'm not comfortable voting on this if we don't even get to hear from. I appreciate the Alderman from the 9th's assurances about this company's plans if they don't get this tax assurance, but it'd be nice if they'd at least come in front of the committee, tell us about their business. So I'm not comfortable voting on this today, without hearing from a representative of STC.
Okay. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
Mr. Chair, most of the questions have been asked. They haven't been answered. And it seems like it's a play with words. So I'm just kind of nervous with this whole situation in regards to this. And I kind of piggy bank on Alderman, I don't want to call him by his first name, Jack Coder, because normally doesn't the people that want to be heard, they want to plead their case, they come to the HUD's meeting. So is this something different that we're doing, or?
Well, Alderwoman, it is traditional that if a developer wants incentives from the city, that we get a chance to interact with the developer. It's an anomaly that they're not invited, but we can invite them.
Okay, I would feel better if they would come forth and kind of explain their position.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Muhammad. And Jonathan, it seems that we're not able to see your presentation, so you can stop sharing your screen, please. Jonathan. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, Chairman.
Yes,
I can.
We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Is there a way to stop Jonathan's screen from sharing?
There we go.
Oh, now he brings it up. Okay, we're gonna move on. Alderman Muhammad. He's not here. Alderwoman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of echo my colleagues on the whole abatement versus the assurance. In fact, the assurance is specifically listed in the prevailing wage ordinance because it is an incentive. I guess my question is for you, Mr. Chairman. Are we going to hold off and wait for these developers to come before voting this out, or should I ask my questions now?
We can hold off, but you're also welcome to ask your questions now.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious. This is an extension. Sorry, I'm on my phone. This is an extension of the project that was, I think it was 2 sessions ago, perhaps. Alderman Gunther, is that correct? Is this the same?
I've never had a project with STC
Okay, all right. I just had it confused.
So this is a new
one.
Okay. For me.
And then you said that it's an additional 35 jobs. Sorry, can you hear me?
We can hear you. I think he's having trouble with it.
It's like
okay.
$2.3 million construction and 35 new jobs.
Okay. All right. I just had a question about if that was new jobs coming in. Otherwise, I'll wait for.
Am I frozen?
A little bit, but I could understand what you're saying. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Yeah, Alderman Gunther, you sound like R2D2, something like that. It's real choppy, but we can make most of it out. Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one question for the alderman from the 9th, if he is unfrozen at the moment. So on these 35 jobs, do you have any indication of what the pay is going to be, what types of jobs these are?
All right. Is that better on my sound?
Yes.
No? Okay. I try to close some tabs. Yeah, so the jobs are mostly, the jobs are the warehouse jobs. They're mostly driving forklifts. There's also some handling and cleaning of some of the supplies that come in. So from what I understand, they take a lot of the spent kegs and materials, clean them, refurbish them, and then put them back into, sell them back to whoever fills them. So they do AB, but they also do like Pepsi. They do a lot of smaller breweries. So they pretty much do all the canning and kegs and bottles for just about any soda, beer production in the entire region. So they are all going to be. They said most of them are just hourly jobs, but they do starting pay at $15 an hour. And they have full health insurance, and so they are mostly all just driving a forklift.
Okay, forklift operator that's a decent job. All right. Well, it doesn't sound to me like we're likely to have a vote on this today, so I guess we'll get another bite at the apple with asking the developers some questions. And thank you for your time, Alderman.
Next, Alderwoman Evans.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Alderman Gunther, I just wanted to, I guess, a clear understanding as to what type of business this is.
It's a warehouse.
It's a warehouse. Okay, and what exactly do they do?
So they have all the storage containers for PepsiCo, Snapple, Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch, I think there's a few other small breweries. So they hold containers, and then they distribute the containers to whoever fills them with the final product.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, so seems like we need a presentation from the developer. So we'll schedule another meeting to hear this. There's another meeting scheduled for tomorrow, Alderman Gunther. It may be moved. It may be moved to 4 p.m. So stay tuned. I think it's scheduled for 11 right now. So we'll do that. But Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's what I think would be helpful, because there's still a little confusion about assurance versus abatement. So will you prepare an example for this particular resolution? What 10 years of abatement would look like, what 10 years of assurance looks like, so they will kind of make sense to people. Because
yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, it is an incentive. And I always want to smile whenever the alderman from the 9th Ward comes with an incentive bill, because I know how he really doesn't like incentives. So, but that doesn't stop me from supporting the initiatives. So anyway, it always gives me a chuckle, and he knows why. So with that, Alderman, let's talk later on today, so we can confirm what time and see if your developer can make that time. If they can't, we'll reschedule it for next week. But I'm definitely willing to work with you on this.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. And yeah, I will reach out to, well, I guess myself or SLDC will reach out to the developer. I know I've sat through many of HUD's, many of neighborhood development committees, many committees where the alderman is able to represent the project. So I was not aware that you all would want the builder here. So I will reach out to them. Thank you.
Okay, and I just realized that we have someone signed up to speak against the resolution, so I should do that. Is there Mr. Sean Strasbaugh? I think I spelled it right. It's with Government Relations International Code Council, Mr. Sean Strasbaugh. Are you here? Going twice. Okay, so discussion for the day on Resolution 39 is over. Next up is Board Bill number 51, sponsored by Alderman Brandon Bosley and Alderman Page. So Alderman Bosley.
Thank you, Alderman. Can you give me 1 minute here, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Chairman.
Alderman Bosley, if you need more time, we can move on to Board Bill number 28.
Yes, that'd be helpful. I can go after 28 if that's okay.
Okay. So next up before us is Board Bill number 28, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to ask that Board Bill number 28 is actually previewed first by the speaker that I have listed there.
That's Mr. Let's see, there's 3 people. So I have signed up as speakers as Mr. Jonathan Roper. Oh, he's with SLDC though.
Yeah, there should be.
Okay, Adam McBride.
That's right.
You want Mr. McBride to present first?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. McBride, are you here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. McBride, let's see, do I see you? Where are you? Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so state your name, the organization you represent, and the address, sir, and then you may proceed to speak.
My name is Adam McBride, Executive Director of Veterans Community Project, St. Louis. Our property address is located at 1515 North Grand Boulevard, St. Louis, Missouri, 63106.
Go ahead. You want to talk about the project?
Yes, sir. I've just got a brief prepared remarks here. First, I want to say thank you to the Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I also want to say thank you to our sponsoring alderpersons, Alderwoman Davis, Evans, and Alderman Todd, for all their help and guidance along the way. I want to thank you for your consideration this morning of Veterans Community Projects Plan Unit Development. It's contained in Board Bill 28. With the approval of this PUD, VCP St. Louis gets another step closer to redefining what veteran services look like in the St. Louis metropolitan area by developing 3.5 acres in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood to serve those who bravely served us. This location is perfect for a VCP campus with its close proximity to Cochran VA Medical Center, public transportation, and shopping for life's basic needs. VCP refuses to let any veteran fall through the cracks, from providing transitional housing to offering walk-in support services. We are here for everyone who took the oath to serve us and this great nation. All veterans qualify for services from VCP, regardless of service duration or discharge status. VCP Village is a specialized community of 50 tiny homes with on-site wraparound support services designed to equip veterans with the tools needed to return to a stable, prosperous, and independent life. Each tiny house provides everything a veteran needs to live with dignity and security. New furniture, appliances, housewares, bedding, personal items, and utilities, all free of charge. The homes offer sanctuary and the emotional space needed for each veteran and VCP specially trained case management team to thoroughly address the underlying causes of his or her homelessness. Located on Grand Avenue, the Veterans Outreach Center will be an invaluable resource for any veteran requiring support services, such as utility assistance, emergency rent assistance, food and hygiene kits, employment supports, military documentation, benefits navigation, and walk-in case management. Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy at your discretion to answer any questions, to turn it back over to you, and I'll be here for whatever you need.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Alderwoman Davis, do you want to add anything, or you want me to just go ahead and allow the committee to take questions, ask questions?
Mr. Chairman, I think that presentation was very thorough, and we should open it up for questions. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Alderman Cone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've actually, Mr. McBride had reached out several times to schedule tours. I apologize that my schedule did not allow me the opportunity to do so. Certainly seems like a very worthwhile project, and appreciate the efforts to provide housing to our veterans. So thank you very much for your time and effort doing so.
All right. Next is Alderman Kotar.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Adam, I appreciate all your outreach that you've done and for the opportunity to visit the site a month or so ago. Very much looking forward to this project moving forward. And if it's all right with the Alderwoman from the 19th, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Next is Alderman Pam Boyd.
I have no questions. I can speak from experience because I did take advantage of the invite, and it was a mind blower for me because what they don't give themselves justice. So what they show on pictures, if you haven't actually been there, you would just be blown away. And so I'm excited to see the transformation that's going to happen to that area. And I think it's going to be an uplift for the residents that live over there. And I think what people don't realize, the residents are now policing that area to make sure that nothing happens to what they have. So when you have projects of development and residents are involved and they support it and they make sure that they're protected, that's a good thing. So I'll vote for this 100%. And I'm telling you, if you haven't been there, it's a mind blower. It's not what you're thinking when you get on that lot. So thank you very much, Adam.
Alderman Muhammad.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions. I'm in full support of this. Adam, I owe you a visit, and I will make that up to you this week, I promise, and I can't wait to see all the things that you are doing. If it is okay with the sponsor, Mr. Chairman, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor to this legislation.
Yes.
Alderman Muhammad, I'm not sure if you were present when I was asking that all committee members and anyone who's speaking show their video. So with that, Alderwoman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also echo my colleagues again. Thank you, Adam, for reaching out and all of the information and being very thorough. I also hope to make a visit and take a tour. And I also would like to be added as a co-sponsor, please. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. And thank you to Adam McBride. I took the opportunity that he gave to tour the tiny home in the area there. I think this is an amazing project. I would love to see more things like this here in the city. And I would encourage everyone to act with some urgency on this. From what I understand, if we can push this thing through, we may be able to break ground on it by September, which would get, 50, hopefully get 50 homeless vets off the street before it got bitter cold this year. So if we move with some urgency, hopefully we can, help serve those who've served us. And thank you to the sponsors of this. And I've already asked the clerk to be added as a co-sponsor. And this is a great project. I'd love to see more of this. Thank you.
Awesome. Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am just excited and elated to have this project, to be a part of this project. And I have no questions. I just have a comment, and I am anxious for this to get underway. And thank you, Mr. McBride, for your presentation and for what you're bringing to our wards. Thank you.
Adam, as you can hear, everybody seems to be excited about this project. I'm certainly excited as someone who have served over 23 years with the Army. I definitely want to be a co-sponsor. I had a chance to do the tour. I might have missed it in your presentation, but when do you actually, quote unquote, break ground, start the infrastructure improvements?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our hope, once we get through the process at the city, it appears that we potentially could be in line to apply for all the permits by September 2nd. And so as long as the process runs sort of on schedule, that we could be looking early to mid-September for an actual groundbreaking and get site utility work underway. Good.
Again, exciting. I see some of my other colleagues. Let me ask, just going to order by Sam. Alderwoman from the 26th, any questions or comments?
No, no questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Gunther?
No comments. Thank you very much.
Alderman Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will state that I have been excited about this project from the time that I first heard about it. I thoroughly support the concept and the implementation. I look forward to an opportunity to take a tour of the construction site at the earliest opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Also, may I add that I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Alderwoman Navarro. Okay, Alderwoman Peel.
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Howard.
Just wanted to mention this is a great project, so.
No questions. It's a wonderful project, and I'd like to also be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions, just congratulations and thanks for bringing this project to the city. I think it's incredibly valuable and looking forward to seeing how well it works to be used as a model, hopefully in other places in the city.
Well, I think we have gone through the speakers. We've gone through the aldermen. I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 28.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt Board Bill number 28.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad. 8 aye votes.
Okay, by your vote, you have passed Board Bill 28 out of committee with a do pass recommendation. Okay, now back before us is Board Bill number 51, sponsored by Alderman Bosley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry. Can we start with the presentation from Rob Orr?
Sure. Rob, are you there?
I am. Bear with me. I haven't done this before. Let's see how this goes. You all see what I'm sharing?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make this bigger. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you, Alderman Bosley and Alderman Page for co-sponsoring this Board Bill 51. The purpose of this board bill would establish the General Geospatial Protection and Enhancement Special Use District, hereafter abbreviated GPE SUD, for approximately a 950 acre site surrounding and within 2,500 feet of the perimeter of the next NGA West campus, which, as you know, is located at the northeast corner of Jefferson and Cass Avenue. The Special Use District Overlay Zoning District, as permitted in the Enabling Ordinance 66941, would prohibit certain uses that would otherwise be allowed in the underlying zoning districts A through K. The GPE SUD Overlay Zoning District would prohibit certain uses that would, if allowed to exist within the proposed GPE SUD area, impede communications, endanger NGA operations, and pose a threat to the NGA's mission. So the GPE SUD is hereby created as an overlay zoning district for the purpose of responding to the well-defined encroachment challenges that pose potential health, safety, and security issues to the NGA, thereby threatening national security and the general welfare of the state of Missouri and the city of St. Louis, both before and after the NGA relocates to the SUD area in approximately 2024. to reflect the specific character within the specific zoning district. And also notwithstanding section 26.73.010 E of the code to modify the zoning designation within its boundary, which includes land uses with health, safety, and general welfare issues that are necessary to be addressed in protecting the NGA and operational requirements. So just a brief look back, commitments made that were successful in keeping the NGA located in St. Louis. We committed to deliver the site from one owner, a consolidated single parcel, environmentally clean, all the buildings and streets, alleys, and utilities removed and relocated. We additionally committed to improving the infrastructure in the North St. Louis campus area. This includes North Jefferson Avenue, which is currently under design from Market to Natural Bridge. And that bid will be let later this year, I believe. Also, there's a full interchange under construction at I-64 and Jefferson, and associated city streets related to that project. That's fully funded, and it is also in design, and the interchange piece itself is under construction already. That's a MoDOT project. We are looking for funding to improve Cass Avenue, basically from the exit of I-70 all the way to Grand Avenue, and that's something that we're continuing to work on. But we also committed to improving the neighborhood around the new NGA site, eliminating blight, improving safety and security, and providing better residential, commercial, and retail opportunities. And so that's the purpose of what this SUD is hoping to accomplish. This is a half-mile radius from the NGA. It's approximately 958 acres. The two major points I think that we need to address. The proposed legislation only regulates commercial land use in the area. It has no impact on residential zone properties. It does not have any impact on property taxes. This is not an effort in any way to acquire additional land outside of the NGA footprint. So this has nothing to do with any of those activities. It's simply to help protect the NGA and its mission. And the SUD does not impact any lawful currently operating business. So some of the prohibited uses, sorry, I'm struggling with my computer a little bit. Gas stations would be prohibited, utility stations or towers taller than 65 feet, radio frequency, microwave, radiated frequency, and other emitting towers and facilities, improvements, or structures taller than 65 feet. Facilities, improvements, or structures for the transmission or receipt of information and signals by or through electronic, radio, satellite, and other medium taller than 65 feet. Facilities, improvements, or structures financed, sponsored, owned, or operated in whole or in part by foreign governments which pose a threat to national security on the NGA site. Light industrial and commercial uses or activities that introduce, involve, manufacture, or produce hazardous or toxic substances that by their nature are considered toxic or hazardous to human health, are present in large quantities, and require 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day security with controlled access limited to employees and authorized visitors. Additionally, it would prohibit light industrial and manufacturing uses involving welding activities during industrial manufacturing or fabrication process, including but not limited to automobile machinery manufacturing, fabrication of metal products and electrical equipment, and metal service centers. This prohibition shall not be construed to prohibit welding activities involving metal, sculptural art, the maintenance of industrial machinery, in the construction or expansion of buildings. Also prohibited would be power substations and facilities for the production and or transmission of electrical power in commercial quantities of at least 1 megawatt. This prohibition shall not be construed to prohibit power substations that exclusively provide power to an on-site industrial manufacturing or commercial use. And lastly, the prohibition would apply to electromagnetic spectrum and signals, uses, and activities that are not in full compliance with FCC 47 CFR Part 15 and or Part 18 requirements for radio frequency devices and industrial, scientific, and medical equipment as applicable. Users conducting 47 CFR Part 15 and or Part 18 compliant uses and activities must self-certify in writing that such uses and activities are in full compliance Such certification, notwithstanding uses and activities under the subsection, may be subject to FCC inspection and review as authorized or required by FCC regulation. And that's the end of my presentation. I will turn this back over to Alderman Bosley. Again, thank you for your time. I will say that when it gets to questions, also on this call, I believe if they're still here, Frank Cooper, who is with the NGA, Deputy Program Director for Construction and Security, Mark Johnson, who is with Civitas, who's been a consultant that helped SLDC and the city significantly as we sought to retain the NGA in St. Louis. And his company was also instrumental in helping create Project Connect. And then Cecilia Dvorak from the City Planning and Urban Design Agency. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Alderman Bosley, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you see, Board Bill 51 is an overlay. Can I be heard very well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Board Bill 51 is an overlay. It does not specifically have to reach as far as it is. It is a half a mile, but the NGA does not require that. So I want us to be very clear in what is required specifically from the NGA when we speak about this, because there is a little bit misinformation that can come. And we want everybody to be as informed as possible, because we do have a lot of people that live in the area that do feel that this can be harmful to them, even though there were some things in the last one that we all disagree with, which is why we pulled the last SUD. This time, I don't want to make any of those mistakes. I'd like no stone to be left unturned as far as the transparency goes. Therefore, once again, that misinformation that could be out there or present itself at any given time, we want to make sure that our folks are equipped with the right information to be able to talk to those individuals who were not able to make this meeting, that also will not be able to make the upcoming community meeting about this also. So I do want to also add that there was some miscommunications, I believe, between the office and the residents here. They were supposed to receive a postcard, and this is not on you, Mr. Rob, or I just want to making sure that there's some transparency between this bill has what has conspired over the last week or so with the residents, so we can all catch up and move forward there. So everyone that is on the call here from the 3rd Ward and those in the 5th, if you are registered voters and have voted within the last, I think it was the last presidential election, last few elections, you were supposed to receive a postcard that told you about the SUD before this was introduced. That postcard also had a date on it for Zoom to discuss this particular bill prior to this date also. But it came to my attention the day of that Zoom call that a lot of our residents did not get the postcard until maybe a day before. Some of them hadn't received it until a day before that Zoom call. So that is where a little bit of this lack of transparency is, where some of the resistance comes from. They want to be respected by this office. We also demand those things, and this is not on this administration. This is prior, so I want to make sure that that's clear also. We did sit down with SLDC and ask them to send out postcards in a timely fashion so that people were not blindsided or felt that they were being blindsided by this bill. It is 15 pages. That's a lot to read, especially for folks that are working every day. And this is a lot to dissect if you're not looking at this type of information regularly. So that was an effort that was made. Also, for those who see those posted board bills out there on the different blocks that are around, those are also requirements through the zoning. To let everybody know that there's a zoning change coming. I want our residents to know I went through this bill thoroughly. There's nothing in here harmful. There's not one way that anybody's home can be taken by this legislation. I am not willing to or will be co-signing or voting for or with any legislation that removes people from their homes during my tenure here. So that is, if anybody has seen any information, if that is something that folks are thinking that could be harmful in this, there's absolutely nothing there. Once again, I just want to make the transparency and the way that the communication should have been brought transparent, that this was supposed to be much more smoother for us in communication. So, I will definitely take, because I am the alderman, the bunny end of the stick there, that should have been done much, much better. So we will do what's necessary and needed to make sure that
uh-oh, look like we lost
looks like I cut off. Am I back? Hello?
Okay, there you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was saying I will do what I need to ensure that my residents that are on the call, if you'd like to have a one-on-one about this board bill, if you want to have a community meeting there on your block about it, just wherever we need to do to ensure that there is transparency there and you get what it is that you need out of the board bill as far as the information that makes you feel comfortable with it. I will make sure that we do that. Just before, I have not shoved anything down our residents' throat. This is also not intended to be that way or will not happen that way. So we will make sure that there is some transparency here and there's information that whatever information is needed to be answered is answered. So you saw the prohibited uses the last time we talked about this. There were many, many more non-traditional uses there. Like tattoo parlors. They did not want certain type of businesses that we would generally have in our communities. And a lot of people felt like that was something that would hurt us business-wise. And I also agree with that. So those things are completely removed. There's nothing there as far as regular uses right now. Everybody is grandfathered in. Once again, there are no residential impacts directly. Now, I do want to say there can be some impacts to taxes period along this area once upgrades start happening. Whenever there's a zone laid out and people want to specifically put money within that zone, if they want to do street upgrades, sidewalks, and we start to aesthetically make that part of the zone look much better, that will I think that will ripple at some point in time and taxes will go up. That is a part of what happens when development comes, but this is not in any way, shape, form, or fashion physically the board bill raising your taxes. It is not raising any taxes. I live here too. I'm not looking for any substantial raises that I cannot afford either. So I'm making sure that our taxes, we do have some things that we're working on to put us in a position as a community, which is outside of this board bill, to try to keep our taxes low as development comes. But this isn't that particular legislation. This is simply just an overlay to provide the NGA with the things that they need for security purposes. So with that, I'm sure we have some more speakers. Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how you like to go about.
Sure. I'm going to ask Alderman Page, he's a co-sponsor, if he wanted to add anything before we go to the committee members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I completely and wholeheartedly concur with the comments just offered by the Alderman from the 3rd, my next door neighbor. I will say that on this iteration of Board Bill 51, the SUD, I started by doing some research. I had SLDC to present to me in great detail the features of the SUD to make sure that I wanted to make sure that I thoroughly understood it for the benefit of my constituents, as well as constituents of the 3rd Ward. I came away just like the Alderman from 3rd indicated, feeling no harm whatever. I've also begun sharing information about the SUD with developers that I've met with to make sure that what I understood was shared with people in the community. So with that, I am in full support of Board Bill 51, obviously as a co-sponsor. And I think that's it for the moment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. Alderwoman Davis, any questions of the sponsors?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions. I've been following this very closely and have had the opportunity to be a part of a project, well, actually, 2 projects like this in other parts of the country. So I do understand it. I think this is very comprehensive. And just to give note for those residents who are concerned about tax increase, it would be at least 5 to 7 years before you really see any kind of increase, because it's going to take that long to really change the footprint there with additional development for the future. So I'm excited about it. I thank you for going back and redoing this because there was some concern. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Alderman Cone. Alderman Cone. Okay, we'll come back. Alderman Kotar.
No questions about the SUD, Chairman. I know there's, I think, some folks, maybe the construction manager from NGA. Are we going to get maybe just a brief update on sort of status of construction, how things are moving along while he's here? Is that something we could do?
Would that be Mr. Cooper?
I believe so.
Okay, he'll have a chance to present.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Okay. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
I don't have questions. I just have a comment to my colleagues. I congratulate you because you all are sending a message that a lot of us as older people have been doing, is educating the community. And so that's the positive part. And so I really like that when you offer to say we can sit down at the coffee table, we can sit down in a group setting, we can sit down at a whole meeting to educate you on the processes and how it will impact you. And I think once we continues to do those kind of things, you don't get a lot of issues because people know that they're welcome at the table. So thank you, Alderman Page, and thank you, Alderman Bosley. I'm glad that you are moving forward and you have educated your community. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, we're getting them right. They still feel a little bit like we missed the mark. So I want to make sure I'm clearing that. I appreciate that, Alderwoman.
Yeah, and that's the best part. You hearing them, and so a lot of times residents feel we don't listen to them. So that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Martin. Alderwoman Martin. I'm sorry.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one question, just to be clear. So this has no impact on residential properties or on current businesses inside this area?
Not current businesses that are licensed correctly. Let's say, for instance, as a hypothetical, if you are licensed to work on cars, can I be heard? You look frozen.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. But let's say, for instance, you're licensed to work on cars. We have an automobile shop there and they do light welding, but they don't put on there that they also, in their spare time, build ATVs, or they build, they manufacture, mini cars or something like that. If, they did not have that specific use down and they went and applied for a license to do that particular work, if it was outside of what was within these prohibited uses, then they would not be able to do that based on them not already having a license to do it currently before this this board bill. I mean, this SUD sits in. So, and I do believe they may, well, access prohibited. So, I'm sorry.
But if
anything that within, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If I'm a homeowner and I, to use your example, and I build four-wheelers in my spare time, I'm not going to be subject to this statute because it's a residential property.
Sorry, phone disappeared and came back. That signal thing. Repeat it, please. I apologize.
Sure. No, I'll repeat. So if I'm a residential property owner and I tinker with four-wheelers in my spare time, though, I'm not going to be subject to this ordinance because it's my home.
Right. Well, and less of it, not necessarily. Well, of course, it's your home, but it's more of a, that's light, very, very light. Welding. That's not anything that you'd be doing for 20 hours a day at a certain frequency that would cause disruptions with the technologies that they utilize. And that's all they are worried about, is ensuring that any large manufacturer or light manufacturer, somebody that is utilizing, doing welding for a long period of time, or, any type of wireless connections that they utilize that can be affected by those machines. They want to make sure that is on paper. They know where those disruptions could be coming from. And when this SUD is overlaid, that there won't be any more to worry about.
Okay.
If that makes
sense. Absolutely. And who's in charge for kind of policing this?
I think once we put it in an ordinance, it'd be up to us. It'd be going through the building division, just like they look at anything else as far as what would be prohibited for the public service. If a use came through and somebody wanted to build a 70-foot tower for, let's say, a wireless provider, that would pop up as a permit, and they'd immediately probably be denied based on this being in a prohibited area.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions at this time. Some of them have been answered through the questions of the previous alder people. And I just appreciate you, Brandon Bosley, for doing the work that you do. I know when you attack or research an item, you do it somewhat thoroughly. And I thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. I have some questions, but I'm going to wait until I hear from the people who signed up. So there's a couple of people signed up, Mr. Frank Cooper and Mr. Mark Johnson. So we'll go with Mr. Frank Cooper first. Okay. Mr. Cooper, do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. If you're representing yourself as an individual, please state your name and your address. If you represent a business, please state your name, the business, and the business address. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Frank Cooper. I'm representing the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. I'm sitting at 3200 South 2nd Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63118. As stated earlier, my current position within the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, I am serving as the N2W Deputy Program Director with responsibilities focused on construction and security of the facility.
Mr. Cooper, I thought I could see you earlier. What happened to your video?
Sir, if you saw me, you got magic on your end, because in our facility here, we're not we do not have cameras on our computers.
Okay,
so if you saw me, if you saw me, I'm impressed.
Okay, I mistook you for somebody else that had said it. Must have been Mr. Johnson I saw. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman and committee members, and especially Admiral Bosley and Alderman Bosley and Alderman Page, if I can speak correctly. Thank you for hosting this event today and allowing NGA to have an opportunity to speak here. And so again, what I'd like to do, sir, with your permission, is give a quick construction update since that was asked, and I'll circle back to the SUD because there may be some questions there. Sure. From a construction standpoint, the site is progressing. We are still planning to deploy our workforce from the 2nd Street location in 2025. If you're out in the neighborhood cruising around, you'll see steel being erected So the structured parking garages, both on the east and west side of the facility, are going up pretty rapidly. The main operations building is right in the center. That's where you'll see the majority of the steel. The lower level slab on grade activity is almost complete. They've already started pouring the lower level, level 1 slab. So we are progressing. You'll see 2 large cranes in the area. There's a couple of smaller cranes supporting all the steel erection activity. Currently, we have about 350 to possibly 400 construction workers on site. For those of you who don't know, McCarthy is the prime contractor. It's a joint venture with McCarthy Hitts being out of Virginia, but McCarthy is there on the property in full force. We share a facility out there with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. That's us and NGA. So we are out there all the time. They're working like 6 days a week, occasionally on Sunday, depending on the weather, but lots of good activity. Really appreciate the support and the encouragement from all the committee members today. Just want to share with you some outreach that we're doing. On June 24th, there was an open house sponsored by Project Connect. The SLDC was aware of this, as well as the U.S. Army Corps was also a co-sponsor, and NGA participated. We had several members. It goes out to all the local neighborhoods, and we did have several members show up and participate and ask questions. We have everything there from NGA police to NGA recruiters. The Corps is there, McCarthy's there. So again, just a nice way to outreach to the community to kind of give them an update and show them what's going on. We'll continue to do those. I think they're trying to do them quarterly as the site progresses. One other note, based off the other gentleman's question within the SUD, when there are, one of the things that we've added to the SUD working with SLDC is we've added a sentence in there. If someone does submit a permit and the city, zoning commission has a question, they can reach out to the technical experts of NGA, and we can assist and advise them on that particular question or permit. So we're all kind of operating on the same page. So that's just to give you an example of how the SUD has evolved based off really good cooperation between the SLDC and NGA. The other thing that I want to clarify something that Alderman Bosley stated earlier. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So the 2,500 feet buffer zone has been a requirement for NGA for several years now. We've been consistent with that. And again, that is, as y'all stated, that is to help protect our mission. Our mission, as you well know, is to support the military servicemen and women worldwide. We're there to support our senior policymakers, whether they're sitting in the Pentagon or in the White House. So we have a very significant national security mission. So when we evaluated what we needed to have in place to operate in an urban environment, a lot of research went into defining that 2,500 feet and defining what those prohibited clauses are within the SUD. So again, a lot has happened over the last couple of years. This SUD has evolved to this point. So I really appreciate what's happened so far. And sir, I'm available to answer any questions or take questions if need be. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and take the next speaker, and we'll come back to my colleagues to ask questions of the guest speakers. So next up is Mr. Mark Johnson.
Good morning.
Mr. Johnson, thank you. I just got a blank out there. You promised to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Okay,
so again, if you're speaking as an individual, state your name, where you live. If you're speaking on behalf of organizations, state your name, who you're with, and the address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm the president of a company called Civitas, located at 1200 Bannock Street, Denver, Colorado, 80204. My team has been supporting the SLDC and originally in pursuit of the NGA to try and keep the NGA in the city of St. Louis. Initially, our effort was helping various departments within the city, including the SLDC and PDA, regarding the project requirements to attract and retain the NGA within the city. Once the Army Corps made the decision to select this site, we worked with the Army Corps and with the NGA in many, many meetings to help understand and interpret those project requirements, including the 2,500 feet, which was really determined between the NGA and the Army Corps, and these other prohibited uses. We participated in the prior version of the SUD, and I'd just like to repeat for everyone on the call that we have greatly simplified the SUD since the prior version to remove the reference to conditional uses, to ensure that this SUD has no impact on residential uses, homeowners and renters, and to limit the impact of this just to the very specific uses which the Army Corps and the NGA believe could potentially pose a threat. So I'm available for questions after that, but that's all I really need to say. Thank you.
Okay, let's go around ask questions of the speakers. Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no specific questions, and I wanted to say hi to Mark because he's helped us in the city for many years, coming back and forth with different projects. And what he's best known for nationally in working with protecting communities and residents is his Denver projects. So I'm looking forward to us moving in the direction of having more community understanding and education. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Alderman Cone. Alderman Kotar.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the updates on construction site and the SUD.
Okay. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin.
No questions. I appreciate the information.
Yes. Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, I have a few questions. Is Mary Hart Burton from zoning on?
Yes, sir.
I saw her earlier. Mary, just to make sure we're doing everything right. I know when we do SUDs and different zoning changes, it's imperative that notices go out in a timely manner and bills are heard only after that period of time. Are we in compliance with the notices? Because it sounds like Alderman Bosley has some concerns about notifications.
We have posted and noticed the board bill for the HUD's committee hearing by the requirements of the zoning code. I don't think that was the notification that Alderman Bosley was referring to. I think he might have been talking about an additional mailing that SLDC staff did to the residents.
Okay. All right, cool. So check that out.
Chairman, I can address that if you please.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, thanks. So at Alderman Bosley's request, we did send out postcards to every voter in the mayoral election this year within an additional 500 feet beyond the SUD area. So the 2,500 feet plus an additional 500 feet. Those postcards were mailed, or were at least supposed to have been mailed. They were hand delivered to the Postal Service on Saturday, a week before comments were requested. And we do know, as Mr. Bosley pointed out, a number of them were not received until very late that week. Well, we know some people got them on Thursday. I reached out to some individuals I know who live in that geography. Some of them got them on Thursday, some of them got them on Friday, and some of them maybe even got them the following week. Because of the number of people that we felt like did not get an opportunity to respond timely by that Friday, which is when comments were requested. At Alderman Bosley's request, we did then have a Zoom meeting the following, I believe it was a Tuesday night, and we did have a number of participants who showed up for that. So, I don't think it's a secret that we're having problems with our postal service here in the United States right now. And so, I think that we did the best effort we could to get the notice out. But, and we also, to be honest, we've had probably 50 to 75 of them that have come back as undeliverable, which seems odd because they just voted in an election. But at any rate, so we feel like we did make some, at Alderman Bosley's request, reach out, attempt to notify everyone of the SUD itself, directed them to the website, told them about this meeting here today. And then subsequently, when we found out that some people weren't getting those postcards, we scheduled a public meeting and, put the word out as best we could on social media and by email to the neighborhood working group. So I hope that addresses that issue.
Okay. Let me just ask about some of the prohibited uses. And I think it may have been covered, but when you talked about you talked about power generation, Ameren wouldn't be impacted by any of this, would they? Rob?
If you're asking me, no, I don't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Alderman. I thought Rob might know more of the technical stuff, but you can answer it.
No, Ameren would not be impacted. No, sir.
Oh, okay. What about solar? If somebody wanted to do a solar farm?
No, sir. Well, if they wanted to do a solar farm within that particular area, number one, I don't think it'd be possible within that. Well, let me not say possible. We have enough lots and land, but it's all owned already by the developer, Paul McKee. I guess as a hypothetical, if he was to sell it to someone and they wanted to build a solar farm, it would not be, it'd be prohibited within that zone based on how much electricity they would be providing. But it says that if they were providing it for an institution specifically, then they'd be able to do so. But if they were trying to build an entire power plant to power the whole neighborhood, then no, this would be prohibited.
Okay. I'm on page 15 of the board bill. I want to read something I thought kind of stuck out for me. It's section 8B. It's talking about non-conforming uses. B says, but if any existing business within the district does not have a valid occupancy permit held by the existing owner or operator and a valid business license from the city of St. Louis held by such owner or operator, such business and use must be discontinued within no more than 30 days from the date upon which the city issues notice of such unlawful occupancy or use. So is that basically saying that we know that there are businesses operating without proper business licenses and occupancies, but it's going to really be elevated to monitor that once this SUD is put in place?
Well, I don't think that it's stating that we know that businesses are. What I think is saying, if there are businesses there and we find out about them when this is overlaid, then, they'll be sent notices and have to discontinue. And of course, with the different things that are going on within the area, there'll be much more, people looking at the different businesses that operate and how they operate because of, the SUD itself. So, they'd be impacted, not immediately unless they were, once again, trying to go get a permit after the SUD. Then they definitely would have an immediate impact. Okay,
that makes sense. I don't know if this question is for you or Rob, but I ask you, you can punt. So as you stated, Alderman Bosley, there's been some confusion or people really kind of concerned, and I really appreciate you taking your time to walk through this process on behalf of your constituents. That's very admirable, and so I just echo what Alderman Pam Boyd said. One of the things that have been stirred up is NGA wants this. NGA wants this. And is there a document from NGA that spells out all the non-conforming businesses that cannot be within that half a mile footprint that can be shared?
That is a question that I would think probably would be good for somebody in SLDC.
Okay, Rob, can you take that?
So I do believe that those commitments that we mentioned earlier were became a part of the, I forget exactly what the abbreviation is, but it was a land transfer and redevelopment document that took place when the property was sold to the NGA. I was not a party to negotiating that, and I don't know that I've actually ever seen that document. I don't know, Mark, if you were a party to negotiating that and recall what might have been in that.
I was not part of negotiating it, but to my knowledge, there was no search for businesses that would pose a threat. We simply worked with the Army Corps and the NGA to help them understand land use within the general vicinity, mobility issues, utility issues, and things like that, so that they would be able to go through with their due diligence in their final decision about this site. And that then led to the parameters that are in the SUD today.
Oh, okay, Mark, so let me ask you this then.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I can clarify that for you if you would like. This is Frank.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Frank Cooper.
Sorry to interrupt there, sir.
That's okay.
So the actual document is the land development remediation and transfer agreement that Rob was referring to. And if you guys, we have I have a digital signed copy of it in my records, but there is a section in there that discusses mission encroachment and the north side redevelopment plan. And it highlights in there about incompatible land uses, including hazardous uses, incompatible height of structures, radio frequencies, and it continues. So there is a section in that document which was signed in 2017. I'd have to look it up, but that's where that information was first captured. Then it was solidified as has been stated from Mark through the SUD. Over.
Awesome, Mr. Cooper, because I think that I remember back in 2017 when this was a real hot potato. And there was some fierce debate and it was some ugly debate. So, and I'm the kind of person, I don't like rumors, I travel with facts. And so that would really help out because of course, when this passes out of committee, it goes before the full board that we can actually have those facts. So can you email that document to the clerk of the Board of Aldermen at boaclerk@stlouis-mo.gov?
Yes, sir. Copy that. We'll take care of that.
All right. Greatly appreciate it. I think that's very necessary. Let's see. I think I have any more questions. So it seems like Alderman Bosley, you want to do more community engagement as well, right?
Well, I think it looks like we got some residents that may want to speak. If they want to, I don't see on the full attendees list, but I do. Some folks said that they wanted to talk. Did anybody sign up to speak, sir?
There's the only people I have, and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong. The only people I have that can speak today is that's not staff of SLDC or planning is Mr. Frank Cooper and Mr. Mark Johnson. But what I welcome is an opportunity to have another meeting, next week and, really get people organized and engaged and see if they could sign up on a Zoom call. I think that would be very healthy for this discussion.
Yeah, I like that. And I can get my residents a little bit more time to see if they can make a Zoom. I like that.
Okay,
I'd
cool.
appreciate that.
I saw Mary Hart Burton had a hand up earlier. Mary, did you have a question or
No,
comment?
sir. I was just going to confirm that Alderman Bosley was correct when we were discussing that section of the ordinance earlier.
Okay, I'm not doing. Please forgive me, people. On this iPad, it is not the same as dealing with a computer. So I'm trying to juggle around here and not miss certain things in the chat or miss a hand that may have raised. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't see hands raised there. Okay, I don't. Well, I think we've gone over all the speakers, maybe some colleagues that are not part of the committee may have a question. So let me do that and we'll wrap this up. Alderman Gunther.
No questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Peel.
No questions, thank you.
Okay. I don't think I see anybody else. Okay. With that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hold Board Bill 51 in committee. We'll schedule a meeting for next week and have more discussion. So thank you. Next, we are going to Board Bill number 2.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask if the Vice Chair can take over for a few minutes for me. Alderman Kotar.
Happy to, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I'm going to step away for about 5 minutes. I'll be back, and if you can facilitate, I appreciate it.
Certainly. All right, Board Bill number 2 is I haven't seen, is President Reed on? Is the sponsor on?
He will not be on today. This is basically public input.
Okay, so we're gonna hear public comment. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got the list here. 1 second. Bear with me, folks. Okay, so Board Bill number 2, which I think we all know is the American Rescue Plan, a spending proposal submitted, sponsored by President Reed. We've got some speakers signed up today. I see 3 here on my list. A Ryan Pierce Hour speaking against, and then a Connie Crowley Collins speaking with no position, and a Carissa Gilman Hernandez with no position. We'll go ahead and start. I'm going to read sort of our general rules and guidelines for taking public comment. I'm going to read these as our rules require, and then we'll start there with Mr. Hour. Okay, so speakers will be called in the order they appear on the list, which is the same order they register to speak. Each speaker will be given a set time by the chair to speak. We're allotting 3 minutes per speaker. Each speaker will be called by name. They're speaking on the topic about the bill. They can be given additional time at the discretion of the chair. And any written comments should be submitted to the, if anyone wishes to submit written comments, those go to our clerk, Kennedy T at stlewis-mo.gov or BOA clerk at stlewis-mo.gov. And I believe I just put that email in the chat a few minutes ago. So with that, we'll go ahead and start our speakers list. Is Mr. Ryan Pierce Hour on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Hour, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead. I've given your name, but if you could give us your address and then go ahead, the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Yeah, my address is 5949 Scanlon Avenue, 63139. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Members of the committee, my name is Ryan. I'm currently a student at the University of Missouri St. Louis, pursuing a master's in public policy administration with an emphasis in local government. Resident of the 10th Ward, as I've said. Line 19 of the American Rescue Plan Act provides the following qualifications for funding. Whereas money is acquired under the COVID-19 fund can be used to respond to COVID-19 or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, nonprofits, or aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. Though I agree with many of the fundings listed in Board Bill 2, I feel like this bill could provide funding for an effective method of enhancing tourism and hospitality. I would like for the members of the board, the president of the board, to consider allocating funds to enhancing various tourism and hospitable experiences on Washington Avenue downtown. Washington Avenue is a street that has received high acclaim among nationwide street critics and is arguably the sole anchor of commercial, cultural, and residential life in downtown St. Louis. Despite its accolades, the pandemic has once again displayed its weak points. With reckless driving and street racing, these activities have transformed the street into a place of excessive noise and exacerbated delinquent behavior. Simultaneously, businesses suffered from the lack of alternative experiences they could provide for visitors. Outdoor dining was only provided by a few restaurants, and retail stores suffered from their limitations. Many businesses and restaurants closed or severely cut employment. As these problems persist, tourists and metro area residents learn from news outlets and social media that Washington Avenue has become another object of disappointment within St. Louis City. When visitors could stay and explore local businesses on Washington Avenue, and they are now prone to leave the area after they've seen reports of lesser conditions they could experience on Washington Avenue. This area contains many high-tier attractions such as America Center, City Museum, Downtown YMCA, and many beloved restaurants placed among the area. It is also a moderate walk from the Arch. Using street blockades to shrink streets was a means to reduce street racing, yet these are temporary measures. Using these measures contain repetitive man hours and material costs that can be used more efficiently. The shrinking methods are visually unappealing for visitors. With the street transformed into a pedestrian-centric zone, businesses among Washington Avenue may have prevailed among the pandemic's difficulties. Consumers would have greater protections from viral transmissions using large open outdoor markets and large dining areas for restaurants. Street racing and other harmful activities would be removed. Couple sources, Bloomberg City Lab performed a survey of 43 member cities that implemented open street initiatives. Valencia Avenue in San Francisco saw 18% more consumer interest on car-free days compared to the start of the pandemic. Washington University also performed a review of 47 open street initiatives in 2011. Within this study, they found that 68% of open street participants became aware of a store or restaurant that was new to them. 73% of participants spent money at a restaurant or store on the open streets route.
Mr. Auer, if you could wrap it up in the next 20 seconds or so.
Yeah. All right. Creating and executing a plan to make a no vehicle zone within Washington Avenue would create a unique tourist experience within our downtown area that can thrive in and out of troubling times in the current pandemic. I asked the board members to consider allocating funds to execute an effective means to enhancing tourist and visitor experiences on Washington Avenue.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next on our speaker list, where did I put that? Second. Next, we have Connie Crowley Collins. Ms. Collins, are you on? I saw you earlier.
Yes, sir. I'm on.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours. You've got about 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Connie Crowley, and I just want to say I'm a SEIU. The address is 5565 Persian Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri 63112. Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee. My name is Connie Crowley Collins. I live and work in the city of St. Louis. I work at Alara Caring as a home care provider. I've been there for 7 years. I'm also the senior shop steward at my facility. So I act as the voice for my coworkers. I want to start by sharing what has been to do this work over the last year. As COVID-19 ripped through our city, starting in March of 2020, healthcare workers were put at a
Is that me or do we lose Ms. Collins?
I think we lost her.
Okay.
It froze up.
These are some of the workers that I unite in my union with.
Ms. Collins, sorry, this won't count against your time. You froze there for a second. If you could go back about 30 seconds and help us out. I'm sorry. We lost you when you were telling us about how you're the shop steward.
Okay. I said I would work for Alara Caring as home care provider. I've been there for 7 years. I'm also the senior shop steward at my facilities. So I act as the voice for my coworkers. I want to start by sharing what it's been like to do this work over the past 7 years. As COVID-19 ripped through our city, starting in March of 2020, healthcare workers were put to terrible risks. Our SEIU members are the front line. The cooks, the housekeepers, the technicians, the certified nurse assistants, the laundry aides, the cleaning staff, and just as important, home care workers who work directly in their client's home. there are the workers that I unite in my union with. Many of us in these jobs are people of color. Black, brown people are almost 3 times more likely to be from COVID-19, according to the CDC. We have been risking ourselves and our loved ones to care for our clients, but many of us only earn the state minimum wage of $10.30 an hour, which is just enough, which just isn't enough. And even though OSHA was working on half speed, a few of our facilities were even closed by OSHA because of the unsafe working environments or conditions. We have been risking our lives to save others. Many of us gotten COVID, even myself. I suffered a lost time and was not paid. We lost some of our co-workers, loved ones. God rest the souls. The COVID-19 pandemic has shed light on many cracks in the healthcare system. We absolutely cannot allow businesses as usual to continue after that. We are supporting the following: the Stimulus Advisory Board and Mayor Jones' direct relief package recommendations for funding healthcare, including $1.5 billion for direct support care workers. These home care workers also need to have access to unions, and their employees need practice and union nutrition. Vaccine outreach workers and education efforts about the vaccine, additional support for low wages workers as outlined in the mayor's package, such as health care, mental health care, mental health services, affordable housing, and children's services. And we would like to see a worker support officer added. Healthcare workers desperately need a worker support officer who can hear workers' complaints, hold public hearings, and fix unsafe working conditions for healthcare. Thank you
Ms.
very
Collins,
much.
if you could wrap it up in the next 20 seconds or so.
Oh, I'm finished. I just ended it, sir. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Collins, for your comments. And I earlier I accidentally left someone off. I also see an Ann Crenshaw is asked to speak by phone. So we'll go with Ms. Carissa Gilman Hernandez and then Ms. Crenshaw, and that'll conclude our speakers. Ms. Gilman Hernandez, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Carissa Gilman Hernandez. I live on the 4500 block at the Lozan in the 15th Ward. I hadn't actually planned to give spoken comment on Board Bill 2. I'd planned to just submit a written statement. However, on Friday, I volunteered at an event that Mutual Aid hosted along with some other organizations that was a rental and utility assistance. It was supposed to go from 4 to 7 p.m. And leading up to it, I really thought we would be lucky if we had even 20 people attend. I actually brought work to do in my downtime. We ended up with 50 people officially registered that we were able to get the contact information of, and we had to turn away others. People began lining up for this event at 3 p.m. This is the first event many of them had ever heard of that was people actively helping those who needed rental assistance. And they brought their personal information and they handed it over to people that they just had to trust that we were there with good intentions and that we would handle that information respectfully. It was said on Thursday that the sky won't fall if this process takes more time. For those 50 households and many more in the city, the sky has already fallen. Our city is not prepared for the fallout from the eviction moratorium is lifting. We aren't prepared to ensure that we can keep people in their homes, that those who we can't keep in their homes have a safe space to live next. I don't know if anybody on this board has ever applied for an apartment with an eviction on your record, but it is far more expensive to do so. You get less quality place to live, and you're expected to be grateful for the opportunity because a landlord took a risk on you. Meanwhile, we all had to survive a pandemic together. Our city is out of time to get prepared. Being generous, we've had over a year to plan for all of this. The mayor has made a genuine attempt at a community and data-driven process the Stimulus Advisory Board has given us data and community-backed recommendations. We cannot get any of the time back we've already lost, but we can move with the urgency needed to ensure these federal funds actually act as a stimulus for St. Louis and not a Band-Aid to a crisis we're allowing to happen. I highly recommend that this board take on the mayor's recommendations, and I appreciate the time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. All right, and lastly, on our speaker list for today, we have, according to my list, joining us by phone, Ms. Ann Crenshaw. Ms. Crenshaw, are you on the line? Ms. Crenshaw, I think it's *6 to unmute on Zoom. Okay, well, she can maybe join us at a later meeting. Chairman, I think we've exhausted our speakers list. Anything else? Okay, no. I want to say that we're going to have another meeting tomorrow. I spoke with the president. He's for around 4 o'clock. There's a lot of work to try to encourage businesses, nonprofit and for-profit businesses to speak before the committee. And I certainly support that. And any other questions from committee members? I'll just go around and see if anybody, have any comments about anything, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, Alderwoman Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions. I'll just make a brief comment because when I hear residents have such passion and understanding about the crises, I want them to know that we have other alternatives that could have been put in place to move these efforts forward to help those with these issues. And it's still not too late, because even in dealing with this bill, it still won't be passed for weeks. And what we need to do is to employ the opportunities that we have currently and the funds that are sitting there currently and get this job done on behalf of the residents. I've said this 3 times in the last 2 weeks. I don't understand the delay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Alderman Cone. Alderman Cone. Alderman Coulter had that up. Pam Boyd. Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Alderwoman Martin.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like we've gone around. I believe everybody was here, so no need to excuse any aldermen. Okay, well, again, we should be getting a notification out about having a subsequent meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock for businesses and nonprofits. And with that, I will consider the HUD's committee adjourned. Thank you, everybody.